Councilwoman Gaspar?
Yes, you referenced some workshops in your presentation. Are these held locally or are these online? How are you making those workshops available? And if our city is a member of ICLEI, can we as public officials attend those types of workshops?
Yes. So, we've got a variety of different types of workshops. The one we held recently with the insurance industry, I think we invited your engineering director. It was kind of, it was a fairly small audience, so kind of limited participation there. We have these regular working group meetings. Staff is always invited to those. In terms of workshops for elected officials in the region, the San Diego Foundation is really kind of leading a lot of the efforts to work with elected officials. And they do convenings in which, basically we bring together local leaders around climate change. So that would be something to look out for. But you can get onto our website, access all of our kind of on-demand trainings that are kind of these web modules, and maybe, find some useful information in that regard too. So.
And then the workshops that you mentioned that staff is being invited to, are we able to join not as a participating member of that working group, but just to absorb the information being presented?
Yeah, they're very open, and we'd love to have you come down to one of those meetings and kind of understand some of the projects that are going on and how
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Councilman Muir?
Thank you for your presentation. Seems like it's a great resource to get for subject matter experts and data dump as it relates to a lot of the background that you've done, the resources. As it relates to SB 375, AB 32, and the nexus between community development or community plan, you talked earlier about being involved in the city's general plan. Can you give me a few examples of how you were involved in the city's general plan?
Yeah, so essentially our involvement with the general plan was related to the EIR. The inventory that we produced was the kind of analysis of emissions in the EIR. And then as staff was working on the climate action plan that accompanied the EIR, basically we're on hand. So staff can call us up and basically ask technical questions related to how to do climate action plans. So, we fielded several of those calls as that was being prepared. So we generally don't get as involved with land use and transportation decision making. We do have a tool that can quantify the energy and emissions benefits of different land use decisions. So, if you're upgrading building standards, we can help you quantify that. If you're increasing density or not, we can show you the difference between that using some of these tools. So.
And it seems like a lot of education you provide. How about advocacy? Is there advocacy going on, and is there advocacy on the national level with your group?
Yes, yeah. So we have something called our Policy Council. It's comprised of local elected officials who basically, review and take positions and engage on different policy issues. So, at the federal level, we've been very engaged recently. We've been talking to the White House Council on Environmental Quality about how they can better work with local communities around some of the resilience initiatives that the President introduced in the State of the Union address. We met with the Undersecretary of State just a few weeks ago to talk about how we can connect local communities to cities overseas to exchange best practices and kind of learn from one another. We endorsed something called the STRONG Act that was sponsored by Senator Kerry before he moved over, which was about creating coordinating federal agencies to provide more resources to local governments around resilience and preparedness for extreme events. So we take positions on those types of things, and then we're engaged at the state level too. So we're talking to the Governor's Office of Planning and Research to make sure that guidelines that come out of there are workable for local governments.
And how do you outreach to your member agencies as they provide you input on your policy decisions?
It's on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it's a quick turnaround where we just go to the Policy Council and they give us direction. Sometimes we solicit input more broadly. So I think that was the case. That's right. We were invited to give input to a new, it's called the Bicameral Climate Change Task Force. So Representative Waxman and Senator Whitehouse asked us for policy input. So we sent out a solicitation to members saying, you know, what type of advice would you like us to take forward, you know.
Thank you. And I asked for it to be, I saw it as a warrant thing, and I learned a lot more today from your presentation. Thank you very much for coming down here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Diane, did you have a comment? I saw you reach for your microphone there.
I just wanted to clarify in terms of the recent work that we've done with ICLEI was to update the GHG inventory to 2010. We did do that in preparation for when we do start our EIR for the general plan update, but we have not initiated the EIR for the general plan update. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Councilman Kranz?
Can you clarify, our fees that we pay, do they go to ICLEI USA, or are they also part of the international UN organization?
Well, I guess first to clarify, the international organization, it's called ICLEI World Secretariat. It's based in Bonn, Germany, and it's not affiliated with the UN. So we are the kind of official representative of local governments in UN negotiations around climate change. So we advocate there on behalf of communities, but we're not a UN agency. We don't work for the UN, that sort of thing. But in terms of member dues for Encinitas are $1,200. Most of that stays with ICLEI USA, but also a piece of that goes to ICLEI World Secretariat to support the sort of the global programs and infrastructure.
And we've been encouraged to withdraw, to no longer be a member of ICLEI, and I think that there is some sense that we're going to, by being a member, we're going to be required to have people give up their cars and take buses and, high density and this sort of thing. Do you hear that much around the?
Yeah, there's definitely a campaign of misinformation out there. And it's taken on a life of its own in the blogosphere, where someone says something, that becomes a truth, and that gets amplified, and it sort of spirals out of control. So essentially, we are here to help local governments achieve their own goals. We don't require that cities do anything as a condition of membership. We don't ask them to sign anything. So it's really about achieving your own goals. In Encinitas, if you're not interested in new development, if you're not interested in density, we're not interested either. But if you want to upgrade your building standards, we're happy to help you with that. So it really is about local control.
Great, thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo thanks, and from my perspective, $1,200 is a very good investment in this organization, and I hope the staff concurs that they get much more than that in valuable resources, tools, and expertise as a result of our membership.
Thank you very much.